it keeps going. You're like, wow, that's really blatant what they're doing.
It's super blatant and super okay. Oh, I thought this was gonna be a little cameo. It's like, oh no, they're in the whole first
That's what I thought. Welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we usually review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. And we're doing that again today, but also it's a redone. My name is Josh the Boy Quirk Wonder Michaels. And today, as always, I'm joined by...
Megan the Magnificent Perrine.
Cody Daring Decker.
Always underwhelming. Welcome back to another episode. In this episode,
I forget every time that we're supposed to.
Yeah, I know. You're like, oh, me too. I forget too.
In this episode, we're going to be redoing our My Hero Academia Vigilantes Volume 1 review because, like we've stated in previous episodes, we reviewed that series during a time in which not all of us read the entirety of the first volume. And
we thought that would be our thing.
Yeah. We thought it was a great idea.
And having reread Volume 1, I didn't even think I read the entire Volume 1 for that.
Yeah, but you had read the series up
I'm
until that point.
caught up to the series,
yeah. Are you still to this day caught up?
Yeah.
It's
one of the few that I'm like every week I check on it.
Interesting. I obviously I loved My Hero. I've fallen off the My Hero train a little bit. I think a lot of people have. It's one of those series that when it first came out, I think a lot of people were really excited about it, and I know a lot of people still really are. And I think it's a great like gateway shonen sort of anime.
Subtle insult of calling it a gateway.
It's not a subtle insult. I mean, my brothers fell out of watching anime and reading manga, and that was a good show. I recommended that show to them, and it was a great show to get them kind of back into anime and get them back into manga.
The first season of My Hero was great. I cried those 3 episodes.
Dude.
Yeah. Beautiful. Amazing.
God damn.
Yeah.
That was a fucking time. Can we just go back to that when My Hero was the peak of fucking anime for once and everyone was fucking hype and I bought a Deku wig and I was like, I'm gonna cosplay Deku, and then I was like, I'm gonna cosplay Froppy, and then I did and I was super into it, and then I just fucking...
And I remember being on forums like seeing pages when new issues came out and people were like, the absolute madman that Deku is, and like how hyped you would be for his moments where he's breaking his fingers, and then I don't know, at some point you're just like, oh, I don't care anymore.
I mean, I think it suffers from just what a lot of series tend to suffer from when they become successful, and it's just that the studio or the production company that makes it wants it to be longer than the creator had intentionally planned on it being, and when you have to stretch it out, you're gonna lose a little bit of that momentum. And I still
definitely have lost momentum.
Yeah. I still love a lot of the characters. Most of them are not Deku, but
that and the greatest problem is still a compliment to the writer, which is the side characters are way more interesting than the main character. And he's been doing a thing with Deku now that I'm like, no, that made him worse. I think it was supposed to make him more interesting, but it made him much worse to me.
Yeah, I fell off of, and then we'll talk about Vigilantes, but I fell off of My Hero around that. It was after the Gentle Criminal thing, and after that second
season 4.
It's like it hasn't happened in the anime yet, but it's what the next season of the anime is about, and it's about that sort of battle arc with Class A versus Class B.
That was like a resurgence in like hype moments for that series. But then like for the side characters, there's a really cool moment with a side character that like
comes back, right?
Because fans loved him so much, which is how the writer writes stuff, which is cool because they're like, oh, people like this character, let me do some stuff with him, and he gets so like interested in those stories that you go in depth and you forget, oh, right, Deku, he has to punch harder. And I'm like, oh, I really like seeing that side character go through his whole story, though. That was way better than, like, what if I went to 7%? I'm like, oh, what if you did, man?
Well, that's the whole thing about My Hero Vigilantes. It's like everything that's like filling my hero, hole in my heart.
Yeah, and you know what? In a weird way,
my hero hole.
My hero hole. In a weird way, it makes me miss My Hero, and it makes me. It reminds me how much I love My Hero. I think it's so easy to get like jaded and to. I don't know, you hear and see enough people talking about how it's just sort of like declining and it's losing a little bit of steam, and I don't know.
And well, My Vigilantes it explores the world more.
Yeah.
And in the main one, it's it's there, and there's ideas like, oh, you can't use quirks unless you have like a license for it. but it's just about everyone who has the license or is getting the license, and it takes place in that world. Deku doesn't like go walk in the streets and like be like, what's going on over here? How's this people? What's a shopkeeper like? What's society like?
You know, it's a good spinoff when it makes you appreciate like the main like world and story more. Like I have a newfound appreciation for My Hero. Like I might, like you said, you don't like the spoilers. Oh, it's not even that tan on my face. Maybe you just have.
Maybe I have a fat face.
I didn't say it. But yeah, no, it definitely. I'm like, okay, maybe I might want to dive into My Hero just to give it a fucking chance because I do like the other characters and I do like the world and I like its, rules and shit. But this is definitely just a little cherry on top of all of it.
Yeah,
it's refreshing.
And people have called it different things. They've called it like an easy sales pitch for the series, which I think doesn't do it a whole lot of justice, but it does kind of summarize it. It's almost like My Hero Academia is the Avengers and Vigilantes is more like a Spider-Man series, or My Hero Academia is a story about like Superman and Superman's apprentice, and then Vigilantes is about like Batman and Batman's apprentice.
See, that's two different things right there, though.
But I mean, I just
Vigilantes
think these are like,
better.
Yeah,
if it's sort of like Superman versus Batman.
Well, yeah, but I think these are just like ways to get people hooked on this.
The main series is like the shallow, even though it's crazy. Like that created the world. Vigilantes is like a more in-depth, personal look at that world and exploring like consequences and rules of it. And it's crazy that the spin-off does that and the main series doesn't really. They'll have someone in narration go, and this is the way things are. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. Well, and then this actually shows it to you.
It's more an adult story because they're all older. I think that like definitely plays a bigger part because, they're just high school kids going to school and like training to be heroes. And that's all you get to really see. You don't get to see the day-to-day shit between all the characters. So
yeah, you see a lot of UA. And you see a lot
That's all you see.
Yeah, training facilities, and in this series you get to see the world, and you do get to see that in My Hero.
It's very One Punch Man-esque, where like you get to see not only the fighting and stuff, but like you get to see the heroes day to day.
Yeah,
where they're just living their lives.
And like if Moomin Rider got a spinoff.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We could compare it a little bit. Didn't you say, Megan? It sort of reminded you of The Boys a little bit.
I just finished The Boys season 1, and I gotta say, what's his name? Knuckle Duster.
Yeah.
Billy.
Megan's on a big Billy Butcher kick right now.
Yeah.
How could I not be? Are you kidding me? Yeah. And Knuckle Duster can get it. That's all I'm going to say.
Knuckle Duster can get it too.
He's hot as fuck.
Oh, I mean, I think Knuckle Duster's hotter than Billy Butcher.
No.
I'll say it.
Okay, I read him with a British accent too, so maybe I'm a little biased.
British or Australian?
Okay, Billy is British. I thought he was Australian, but he's British.
Mm-hmm. Knuckle Duster, let's give him an Australian accent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, even though I'm sure he's Japanese because that's 100% where the series takes place.
But
but I mean, people just go to Japan to be heroes because Japan in this world is like the superhero like central.
Well, isn't All Might like American, or is that just his brand?
All Might went to America.
Is Japanese. He moved to America, learned all his training moves there, and then he moved back to Japan.
North Carolina Smash.
Yeah.
Is that one of his moves? His famous moves?
Yes.
Honestly,
he names states.
No, I know it's Delaware Smash.
Oklahoma Smash.
And I know he does the United States of Smash.
Dude, they never talk about it, but I the thing is like he's like Texas Smash and's like stronger, so like in his mind that's how he divides the power. So United States is like, oh, that's 50 out of 50 of my power because Deku has to learn how to.
Smash.
He does do a California
Smash.
What if he just does really like? What if he's like Portland Smash or like just really like
I think
Minnesota Smash?
One of his things is Detroit Smash, and it's like, oh, and it just destroys everything, and it's in ruins. And
is it established that like the bigger the state, the bigger the
Well, I think that
punch.
They don't say it, but like Deku has to learn to like, oh, you have to like, because he learns it in percentages. But I think that's why All Might's like, oh, it just makes sense to me. But he learned it. He does like say like he says like a bigger state, it results in him using more power.
It's the percentage of red and blue in that state.
Whoa, it's a little political.
All Might's political.
Oh, yikes! I absolutely like love this series. It did remind me of my love for My Hero, but at the same time, I feel like because this series exists, I almost don't need My Hero. It does.
Oh.
It does, but also without My Hero, we wouldn't have this series. So it's like it's a give and take, and you have to you have to give credit to things that deserve the credit. And I do think that although My Hero does things really well, this series does things that I care about and things that I want to see, I think, better. Like showing people in their day-to-day lives and showing the world and showing the struggle and giving us you're taking your mask off too? Your secret identity. And showing us what it means to work hard as opposed to Deku, who's a chosen one,
Yeah. Which was great at first because like, oh, he's like not the chosen one though, and then but then he is, and you see like people who are like, oh yeah, all I can do is this, and I don't have the ability to punch super hard, so it's actually like I have to like find creative, useful ways to fight crime. Like I'd rather see that.
I did like in My Hero though when you found out that like it wasn't supposed to go to Deku, like that was something that I found interesting.
Spoilers
on later.
For My Hero.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, yeah, spoilers for My Hero, sure, but at least
I'm not saying who it was supposed to be. That's not. I'm just saying that it wasn't supposed to be that way, and I liked that because it's more like, oh, there was a chosen one, and he's the second chosen one.
But then the reason is he cried enough to like get moved up on a list.
Hey, you have to do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do.
We've all been there. Yeah. I've been there to get on a list. I've been outside of the club. Please let me in.
Yeah,
and then
maybe to get out of a ticket or something.
Yeah, get out of a ticket.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. What they don't say about that is the squeaky wheel actually needs grease, though. It's not lying.
Yeah, and maybe it's squeaky because it's just been crying a lot.
Worn down.
It's worn down
and
broken.
And broken. I do think that Vigilantes even does My Hero characters better than My Hero. I mean, we get one of my favorite characters has always been Eraserhead, always. And even in Volume 1, we get Eraserhead, and we get a lot of him, too. We get a little bit of All Might and a little bit of these other heroes, but we get a lot of Eraserhead.
And as this series goes on, he's kind of one of the main characters at a certain... Which it makes... Because he's like... And they also don't talk about it that much, but like Deku's whole thing, I can't fight crime, I don't have superpowers, but like all Eraserhead can do is make some people temporarily not have powers. He still has to fight people normally. Yeah. So like he's not a superhuman.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if someone is like, oh, I have like a giant like tail, he can't make him not have that tail. So only some quirks he can cancel out.
Well, it was interesting in Volume 1 to see him use his quirk against a gigantification quirk. Yeah. And I assumed that it wouldn't do anything, but it does shrink them.
Well, because their power wasn't their physical body is just big. Their power was to become big.
Okay.
So he can cancel stuff like that out. But if someone's just like, my quirk is I'm the size of a mountain, he can't undo that because that's not a power. That's just their body is mutated.
Yeah, and look, he's on my husbando list too. That man is sexy. You want to talk about Knuckle Duster?
No,
you can have Knuckle Duster. Just
he's hot, but he's no Knuckle Duster.
He's better than Knuckle Duster. Tie me up with them rags. You know what I mean? And that's why we agree to disagree, and that's why you have yours and I have mine.
It's like Eraserhead, All Might.
And he's got head in the name. Come on. But anyway, so yeah, I think this, and I haven't spoiled a lot of the series for myself, but I have gone a little into what to expect, and there are other heroes, and I'm not going to spoil anything, and there are other villains from the My Hero series that we do get in Vigilantes, and we also get time with not only the world but other heroes that don't get a lot of screen time in the original series, specifically with what's his name? His brother, I forget his name. It's been so long, but the fast guy.
Oh, Ida's brother.
Ida's brother. Yeah.
They have the same superhero name too.
I forgot it. What is it? Do you remember?
Turbo Man.
It's not Turbo Man. Don't say that. It's not Turbo Man.
Fast guy.
Ingenium.
Yeah, not a good name.
Yeah, terrible name.
Ingenium.
It's a family name, but you get side characters who just, and then they'll just be heroes like, oh, and they do stuff too. I'm like, oh, I forgot that they do stuff besides teach classes.
Well, they're not teachers yet, right?
Yeah.
Like Eraserhead, Aizawa is not, and Midnight is not, and we get to see, I think, even Present Mike a little bit.
Yeah.
these are all characters that I love, and I think, like we were saying, that the side characters and the background characters are more interesting in My Hero. I think a lot of these teachers are more interesting than the side characters. Like, I think Eraserhead is more interesting than, let's say, Bakugo, in my opinion. Even though I'm wearing a Bakugo shirt.
Eraserhead would have been a great power set for Deku to have, which is, it turns out your powers nullifying other powers.
Not the most powerful power.
Not having, yeah. And then we could do a whole thing on where My Hero is later, but
yeah, exactly. It's like that. You can't go like that fucking first scene when Deku's chosen by All Might. Like, you can't, like, nothing, like, that moment was so
that was great,
impactful. Like,
yeah, no, for real.
And that's what set the tone for the rest of the series. And then it kind of just fell off. And hopefully, people start recognizing this and it picks it back up and we get the
it's ending.
My Hero
about
fandom.
This, let's talk about this.
Vigilantes?
Yeah.
Let's walk through volume 1.
Let's slide through it.
Let's crawl through it.
Yeah. Let's brawl through it.
Hey.
Let's jump to it.
Nope.
And that's where
unfortunately it does work because
it
Pop
works,
Step can
but
jump.
it's not.
Yeah,
good.
but you couldn't have had something that rhymes with all
brawl,
crawl.
Yeah.
Okay, crawl doesn't rhyme with slide.
But then we rhymed with each other, so then it was like you have one more to go.
Oh, so one thing is an established trend.
In this case, yeah.
Look, if I was wrong, I'd be all for this, but it's just you rhymed once.
Let's have a ball.
There we go. And thank you, Megan, for getting us back on track. So I didn't read. I think I read the first chapter when we did this episode the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And how much did you read?
I read
Megan?
the first chapter, but then reading it again, I definitely read more than the first chapter.
I think you read up to chapter 3.
I did. In the episode, I do say that I read up to chapter 3. So I was reading it, and I was like, oh, I already know all this.
So let's talk about, I guess, because Cody's caught up. Let's talk about, like, real quick where me and you were at and where we're at now, having read the entirety of Volume 1. You read 3 chapters. After reading the entirety of Volume 1, where are you, and what kind of stood out to you, I guess?
Just like before, I really enjoyed it. Like when we were talking about it on the episode, I remember just being like, oh yeah, no, I love the characters, I love the setting, I love the relationships that they have with each other. I think it's really cute, and I like the character that's like a loner and then starts to have friends. That's like always not you, Cody. I'm talking about you.
Yeah, hasn't gotten to the second part yet.
Yeah.
That's
but
called character development.
It's called an arc.
I did like what I read.
You have to wait for things to happen.
You got to start somewhere.
So I wasn't like, oh, like I'm not looking forward to reading the first volume. Like I only knew I had 2 chapters left, which is surprising that I didn't read more of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
because we thought that would be great.
Yeah, we thought that we couldn't read anymore. We couldn't read the first volume. But I was excited to read more. I like where it's going. It's mysterious. I don't know what's gonna happen next, really. And there's characters introduced in the 5th chapter that I'm interested in, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I think in the first chapter they do establish that there is a drug that's giving people it's heightening their quirks.
Trigger.
Which
is in the main series.
Yeah, which is in the main series, but it's the focal point of at least the first arc of this story. And I remember the first chapter very vividly, even though I did reread it. I did kind of forget that Pop Step, almost gets R-worded in an alley.
Yeah.
That was
very bizarre. That's in chapter 1.
That's in chapter 1. Yeah, it's a little
because you're like, okay, so there's like jerks, and they're like, and we're gonna do the whoa. Did I misread that? No, he just says.
Oh yeah, he flat out says it, and it does take you. It took me aback, and but it did set the tone. Like, this is not My Hero.
Yeah, this is a world where that can just
happen.
That was
definitely intentional for the reader. Like to set it up for the whole tone of it. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that.
Because
like it doesn't get progressively worse just in the first volume. I don't know what happens later, but that's like the worst thing that happens in the first volume, and it's like, oh, everything else is like just crime.
Even in the main My Hero, the villains are like playing by, oh, I'm like a villain, and they play by rules and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is just a thug in an alley.
Yeah.
And it's not someone being like, oh, good, I'll give a speech and I'll reference things that like people understand about how this is supposed to work. And it's just like, and after I'm done with that, then I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, and they do play with this thing that I think DC's played with before, and it's that the idea that although Superman, in this case All Might, is so powerful and is the number one hero and is everywhere, he can't be everywhere at once. So he's sort of busy dealing with the bigger threats, but there's still a lot of small time criminals out there doing really terrible and horrible things.
And what this series goes into is the fact that, like, yeah, that's not going to show up on the hero registry list of things to take care of. Their job is specifically to deal with super powered, like, threats, robbing banks, or, like, causing, like, huge noticeable accidents. Like, they're not really... their job isn't to interfere with stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's superheroes in this world, but there's also cops, so they deal with that type of shit, which is a
great moment that we get right away too. That does establish the not only the world but the rules of the world. And it's when Koichi is going to work and he's late, and so he just wants to use his quirk, which is moving at the speed of a bike. If he has 3 contact points,
his power. Yeah, that's his power.
Yeah,
he can go at the speed of a bicycle as long as he had 3 points of contact on the ground. That's why people are kind of weirded out by him.
Yeah, because they say at first they're like, oh wow, that's a cool quirk, and then they take a second look and they're like, it's actually kind of gross and weird.
Because like you're sliding on the ground. That's
And he gets stopped by a cop who tells him, like, hey, man, like, I get it, dude. We're all trying to live our lives, but you can't use your quirk. You got to just ride a bike, or you got to just do whatever you got to do.
And they go into they're like, if you want to just, like, and in that world, that's not like, oh, I've suddenly gained this. Like, you were born with this thing, and you just have to not ever. And you can't use it ever unless you get a license.
Yeah.
To, like, become a government agent. You can't use your powers, which aren't even powers in this world. There's just a thing you do. So, like, if you can stretch to grab something, it's like, no, you can't do that ever. And they go into, like, how, like, the entire society just has to be super suppressed. You won't see that in the main My Hero because everyone in that world has powers.
Right.
Or wants to be a hero.
Yeah, which, like, I got my license to do this thing. So you're not going to see someone who's like...
And hey, look, for a world full of superhumans, that does make sense. It makes sense that would be a law, that'd be something that would, be put into place to...
Which is how the cop is like, look, I get it. Like, yeah, what you're doing is fine, but, we let you do it. Suddenly the person who can fly does it. Now the person who can do this gets to do it, and now it will ruin our understanding of how, like, cities and shit work.
Yeah. And that's where I start to fall in love with this series, because we see him, a lot of stuff happens with him and these guys that he bumps into that end up being the villains of the first volume, at least. But then he kind of goes and he's at his convenience store job, and he's just like a minimum wage employee that's going to school and trying to get through college and trying to pay rent. And I mean, he's just so much more interesting right away.
And he does, like, public service.
Yeah, he's kind of I guess vigilante, but he doesn't fight crime really.
He gives people direction.
He's just helpful.
He's like
takes out people's trash.
Time to go into, which his costume is an All Might hoodie. Yeah. He's like, all right, time to go. And he's like, oh, you dropped this. Oh, the market's over there. Yeah. And they're like, thanks, nice guy.
You could nice call him a friendly neighborhood bike man.
Yeah, we could.
You could call him that.
Yes, he's the village bicycle.
Fuck. He's the village bicycle. Yeah.
Everyone takes a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
there it is.
I'm still convinced Spider-Man: Homecoming took that shot of him like helping people, because again, that's never a thing Spider-Man ever did, and it's like, it's so specific of a thing to be like, oh, he just does small town stuff, and
well, I mean, I think, parallel thinking at best. It's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, so I'm sure there was someone in a writer's room who was
I'm sure if someone heard that title.
Where's the neighborhood part of
this? Where's the friendly part?
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's just like,
that's how I felt.
Never has that been done.
Watching The Boys, I was like, Compound V is just Trigger. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no way. But The Boys came like way
The Boys comic came out way before Vigilantes.
It was pretty funny.
And I'm sure maybe, I think inevitably with superheroes, everything is going to borrow from everything at a certain point.
It's interesting how like a super serum is like so like ingrained in American comic books, like because of Captain America, I guess.
Yeah.
And then like they're like, oh, how do we connect things? And then it's like, okay, Hulk also has super serum, Spider-Man, super serum attempt, and so super serums are just. It just became a part of like everyone has it, and then Iron Man was like, "What if I fused it with nanobots?"
Yeah, it's crazy how. What is DC's version of a super serum? Do they have?
They have Venom, which is what Bane uses, and then like Red Hood uses it sometimes. Okay. It's like a temporary thing. They have there's like some characters who like, you know, inject this into your body. OMAC, one man army.
Oh yeah. He's a blue guy, right?
Yeah, he's got like a mohawk. He's a janitor, and then when the thing activates.
Yeah.
But they're not as much into super serums. I don't think. I mean, because there's just so many things. Like, you just get a ring. You get this. You can get this. You can.
You just get a ring.
But I think with any superhero story, you're gonna redo things. You're gonna do them a little bit differently. You're gonna put your own spin on it. And I think, you know, obviously Vigilantes does the whole super serum drug thing, which a lot of other things have done. But it is unique, and it does feel like its own story, and it doesn't feel like it's borrowing too much. If anything, it's really an homage in certain aspects of its story to Marvel Comics, specifically because of the two characters that look like Wolverine and Cyclops.
Yeah, which the series does. Like, it keeps going. You're like, wow, that's really blatant what they're doing.
It's super blatant and super. Okay, I thought this was gonna be a little cameo. It's like, oh no, they're in the whole.
That's what I thought, dude. I was like, oh, this is a cool little homage. This is a cool little thing. That
just a little background character.
Yeah, and then they become major characters.
Yeah, they're pop steps. Simps.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's like wooden claws. I'm like, sure, that's different.
No, he has one claw that comes out instead of 3 too. And I'm like, okay. And then I don't know if you noticed this either, but there's a panel where this is so funny. There's an Ash and a Pikachu. But the Pikachu is a guy, is a full grown man that just looks like he's an animal. Pikachu man, and they're together, and he's like, and the Pikachu man is like telling Ashley, "We gotta get out of here," and he's like, "Let's go."
I did not.
Yeah, I'll show you after.
I'll
show you after. It's so
many
crazy.
characters in this thing, and you're like, is that like a one joke? And some of them, they're just like main characters now. Yeah. And you're like, all right, here's the Wolverine guy.
I mean, I guess they have changed it enough to get away with it, but
that I mean, you can even see the author's notes where they're just like, we just wanted to see if we could get away with doing this, and it turns out we can. Yeah. So we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, I did like it though. I did think it was pretty cool, and I do think that they. Like, it would be one thing if they tried to do it and they made worse versions of these characters, but they actually look pretty cool, and they actually, even though they're not like crazy powerful or anything, I do like them.
Yeah, like with the Cyclops and Wolverine guys, like the Cyclops kind of looks like a sailor, or Wolverine looks like a sailor, and the Cyclops guy's like a prim and proper thing. Like, and that's kind of like in the My Hero universe, that's like their version of those characters.
Yeah, and also they're like supposed to be middle school kids, which that's crazy.
Oh, what?
Yeah, they're like that. Yeah, because they hear them arguing like, "What are these high schoolers?" And they're like, "Nope, those are middle schoolers, I guess."
Yeah, full grown man with a beard.
Full grown men going to middle schools.
Koichi. I thought it was Koichi this whole time. I didn't notice that I in his name until I reread this.
Yeah, he starts out as Mr. Nice Guy, and then he gets kind of recruited by Knuckle Duster against his will.
Because he witnesses, because he sees like there's a character, Pop Step, who does like gorilla idol shows. Mm-hmm. And then she's got her costume, and then her power is she can double jump, which is she does that so she can like jump around. And then Koichi's like, yeah, these are not very good songs, but people love her. She's got like a fan. She's a YouTube celebrity.
Yeah, and
then she bumps into a guy that like beat up Koichi earlier, or he like had to like slide away from, and then that's when she gets threatened.
I mean, yeah, and again, that scene is crazy. It's in an alley. They're blatant about what they are planning on doing to her, and it's awful and it's horrible. And he has this moment where in his mind he figures out a way to stop them, and then we realize that it's just in his mind. But it plays out like it's actually happening, and we've seen that done a million times. But I thought it was done really well here.
I feel like on paper, it's like, I don't know, it just has so much more of an impact when you see it. Like, visually, you're like, oh, on paper, you're just reading it, and you're like, oh, it's just, oh, and then you turn the page, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, even when I say it out loud, I'm like, this sounds lame, because it's been done so many times. But again, when I was reading it, same as you, I bought into it, I believed it, and I did turn the page, and I did experience that moment where I was like, fuck, man, I bought that. I really did buy that.
Because he's like, oh, I'll sweep the leg, and then he goes to do it, and he tries to, I mean, the guy's like way bigger than him, so it's like, you don't have super strength.
Yeah. And then, Knuckle Duster comes down, and Knuckle Duster, by the way, I don't know if we've mentioned that yet. I don't even know if it's important to mention now or later, but his quirk or lack thereof, I guess, right? That's what makes him a Batman character, pretty much, is that he's a guy, and I feel like, and I'm not going to spoil this because I don't even know if it's right or wrong, but I feel like there's some interesting backstory that we get about Knuckle Duster that involves sort of why he is the way he is. Is that right? Is that right or wrong?
I mean, yeah, they'll explain the character more.
Okay, but I'm also dancing around something else. But I feel like
I kind of think I know what you're dancing around.
But if I even allude to it, then it's like I'm giving it away.
But yeah, every character gets much more in-depth stuff, especially Knuckle Duster, and Pop Step gets some nice stuff in later volumes. Koichi, I mean, you get a little more stuff about his past, but this is pretty much who he is. There's not going to be a and his parents were all for one or whatever.
Wow! Imagine
everyone is waiting for that reveal in Deku. Is like, because it was his dad is like some like big, because that's what the weird thing in Deku is like. His dad's dead. Like, no, he's away on business. Like for like his whole life. Yeah, he's on a business trip.
Are they doing that? Are they doing something in My Hero with
everyone assumes that like his dad's going to be revealed to be like all for one or something, because it's like, why specifically mention that his dad's just away on business for, unless that's a lie his mom told him to like avoid telling him that like
right.
his dad's
left on a farm somewhere.
Yeah,
on a farm.
But anyway, we meet Knuckle Duster, and Knuckle Duster's like a badass character immediately, awesome,
because he
even in costume.
It's sort of a thing that. Yeah, that My Hero stuff was great with Deku for like being chosen, but like it was like so you're saying someone who isn't super powerful can't be a hero, and this is like a response to that, which is like you can punch a guy and it will hurt, because most people, like, the idea of like learning basic hand to hand isn't a part of like Ochaka. She was considered exceptional for learning like a pretty like some self defense moves.
Chaka.
Well, so I mean, Aizawa shows, at least in this series, that he's very capable in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, and that's his only advantage, because again, all he can do is reduce some people down to his level.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any like super. So him knowing martial arts, like puts like when someone can breathe fire, he cancels that out. All you have to do is punch that guy, because that guy did not learn any like martial arts or self-defense moves.
Well, even Knuckle Duster's excuse for being able to handle, and that's what I love about the series, and it's what the series does so well with this super serum drug, is it gives a very valid excuse for why Knuckle Duster is able to beat these like villains that are twice his size. It gives you a very logical reason for that, and it is that these people aren't used to having this much power. They don't know how to use it. They're dialing certain things up.
And a huge rock guy is going to move slow, and you can still punch him in the stomach.
Yeah.
And they still have to breathe air. They still have to like do human body things, so you can target that. Like he's got like pairs of brass knuckles. Those can destroy somebody.
Oh yeah. Break bones.
You can have
your day.
rock skin all you want, but like, how much is that? This much protection versus some like brass knuckles to your kidneys?
Yeah, which is so funny about him. Immediately, he solves everything with violence, but it's a funny thing. And him and Koichi and even Pop Step, their reaction to him, just like immediately, his first instinct is to just punch somebody in the face before he talks to them, before he does anything else. And it's just funny. It's just so funny. And he's a badass character, but he's also a really funny character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brings the comedy for sure.
Yeah.
It's sort of a, because he is like the Batman of that world, and it is, because Batman's like solution is to just punch everything. And I do like interpretations of Batman, like, what if he wasn't rich? This would be the result.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he would just have that drive and that passion for catching criminals, but he just doesn't have the capabilities,
which almost makes him
for weapons.
It almost makes him a better, more interesting Batman.
And there's stuff about Batman where it's like, and he traveled the world learning all these martial arts, and it's like, okay, but every time we see him fight, he just does some boxing moves. So why don't you just say he learned boxing? Why do you have to say he learned all these martial? He doesn't even kick people. He just like,
because that's not a good story.
No, it is, and we can see that with Knuckle Duster.
Oh, we can.
Which you were literally just saying.
You're right. But I was doing an impression of a DC executive.
Oh.
Yeah. That wasn't me. I'm such a good actor. Thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I'm such a good actor.
I was lost in the moment.
Lost in the sauce.
Yeah. I saw like
an edit
or fan work of Batman who just has a crowbar, which crowbars have become like an iconic weapon in the Batman universe because of some stuff.
Okay.
Robin.
Oh yeah. I thought maybe it was something newer, but
no, it was how Robin was beaten to death with a crowbar.
Yeah.
Don't
spoilers
for Batman.
Spoiler.
I don't know his name anymore.
Jason Todd.
Jason Todd. Yeah.
Jason Todd.
Yeah, I think I'd never thought of Knuckle Duster that way. I've always compared him in my mind to Batman a little bit, but not. I didn't make that connection. He's Batman if Batman had no money.
Yeah,
which makes him a little more interesting.
Batman, but hotter.
Super hot,
and he's got and it also makes sense because he does love beating people up, but he doesn't try to kill anyone. And then the issue with Batman is like all of his weapons are designed around killing people, and he's like, I can never kill someone. Batman throws knives, and you're like,
I don't get that. How you could have so much vengeance in your heart and not want to kill everyone.
Yeah.
I don't kill. That's your code.
Batman's a lot of contradictions because it's a lot of concepts that like, and now you have a character like I hate criminals. I refuse to kill them, but I have learned all these moves to kill people, and all my weapons are designed around killing people and causing chaos, and I'm supposed to be an agent of order even though I drive tanks around an occupied city.
Yeah.
A lot of contradictions right off the bat.
Yeah, and also okay. And also, yeah, all of my foes inevitably time and time again get out of prison and murder more and more people.
But I don't want to kill them.
Including my children's sidekicks.
Yeah, I don't want to kill them though.
Yeah, and let's not forget that most of them are probably just mentally ill. And
a lot of them are mentally ill.
And instead of just like getting them help, let's just beat the shit out.
There was a great moment with the Riddler where he was like, where Batman's like, I followed your riddles, and he's like, I didn't leave riddles. He's like, yeah, you did. He's like, what? And he's like, I think I'm actually crazy. And Riddler just gets help and becomes a detective because he's like,
see, great.
Yeah, I'm like, oh wow, that's a huge moment. Batman's like, oh yeah, we'll go get you help, I guess.
Yeah, Batman's kind of a terrible guy.
So Knuckle Duster makes sense where it's like he's on the hunt for this trigger quirk. He's looking for people with black tongues because that's a side effect of it, and he's just beating people up. He's not like I'm gonna kill the scum. I hate that. He's like, I gotta knock him out. I gotta take him down so I can see this. If they have something, I need to interrogate them.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it too. He doesn't, at least at this point in the story, I'm sure we get to know more of him as the series continues, but at this point in the story, he doesn't seem like he has this like, he's not driven by this like super mysterious motive like with the boys or with these other characters, like with Batman even. It's not like the death of his parents. It's just like this guy, you can just tell that he wants to fight crime.
It's just a mission.
It's just some mission.
It's just a mission.
On.
Yeah.
He's not driven by this like
the first
crazy force.
Volume like hints at a deeper connection. But yeah, I don't know if you guys like even because I don't know if I definitely didn't like realize that until they start going into it more and more about like why is he so driven to figure out what this quirk is, this drug is.
Yeah, no, and look, I'll bet there is a deeper meaning, but my point is like it just doesn't seem like it's who he is.
Yeah,
and I like that. I like that he can stand on his own as a character. He doesn't need that.
Yeah.
But I do also really like this series for as it continues. We get Koichi, unlike Deku, does not want to be Knuckle Duster's apprentice at all, and Knuckle Duster just forces himself onto him, and he's like, okay, maybe poor choice of words, but he kind of does say like, no, I'm gonna be your mentor, your master.
And they are a cool team, and then Pops Up is just like, and I'll join.
Yeah,
and
it's just like I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, it's also like nobody really asked you.
No one. And she's like, I guess I'll join. Like you weren't asked, and but. You will get cool reasons for her character later on. But
and she does become a valuable member of the team in the beginning.
She's like the social media person, and then she has like the most mobility like vertically, and then Koichi has like horizontal and then Knuckle Duster is the combatant. So like Pops Up is the least combative one, but she can like move around like all these areas, and she can like socialize the best.
Well, yeah, she's got minions. She's got, men on the street.
Yeah.
Street.
And yeah, it just becomes this really funny sort of family that they sort of create.
And the headquarters is Koichi's apartment, which is a trailer on top of an abandoned building.
Which is so funny. I didn't get this far the first time we reviewed this series. It's so funny, the backstory, when he realizes why no one wants to hang out with him. When he's flashing back to his college life and first getting this penthouse on top of this building, and it seems so glamorous, and then he gets up there and he realizes like it is what it is, and he's like, fuck it, I'll bet I'll still have people over, and I'll stock my fridge with beer so my my superiors can come over and kick it and hang out. And there's this like this beautiful moment where they're all hanging out after a party, and they're like, man, I wish there was a place to go get some tea or just to hang out. And he's like, let's go to my place. And it's this abandoned building, and everybody looks at this building and starts to run away. And he's like, where's everybody going? That's kind of weird. Doesn't think twice about it the next day at school. They're like, did you hear about this guy Koichi? He tried to drag a girl into this abandoned building. Yeah. And he like wouldn't stop.
The worst fucking accusation you can get. Yeah. Trying to drag a girl into an abandoned building. Like, how horrible.
Yeah.
They're not down. They don't like, there's not fun. Oh, you live in an abandoned building? That sounds fun. I would be like, let's hang out.
Yeah. I mean, you're in a big group of people too,
Yeah, so. Like, fucking man up.
Yeah. And there was a lot of people there. And they focused
and
focused on him trying to get a girl in
because it was completely innocent, but he's like, come on, let's go. But like it was the one girl in the group, and he's like, it's he's like, no, it's cool. It's gonna be cool. No one. Yeah.
It's cool.
And also because the way he can get there is he can just like slide.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal because it's at the top of like a giant parking lot that you're gonna have to walk all the way up.
No one else could get in there.
Yeah. Maybe it is more sinister than I thought. Because how are they going to get out? Yeah,
you should have a trolley system because that'd be fun to skateboard down or something. I can't skateboard.
Even a skateboard.
I was a skater in my past life. No big deal. I could
your past life.
Your past life. No.
Yeah, I've lived many lives.
I thought you were gonna say like, oh, I used to skate. You're like, no, my past life.
No, I've lived many lives. But yeah, Knuckle Duster goes up there, and Popstep is up there, and they kind of not move in, but they kind of establish that Koichi's apartment is home base, and they pretty much designate areas of his apartment as their own. And that's even a funny moment too, where they're like, she's like, I've partitioned this area of the house, and he's like, this is a common area, and Koichi's like, this is my house. Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's so he's like, God damn, he's all upset, and he's like all frazzled, and he goes outside, and he's like, actually, this isn't that bad.
That was so cool.
Because you also get a flashback where he's like, this apartment is big. It's too big
by himself
because he's just alone at night in this there's no neighbors, there's nothing, he's just completely alone, and then people are so it is annoying that someone's like, I'll take some beers, but this is better than and you get a nice little subtle moment with Popstep out of uniform.
I like that a lot, though. I'm just a sucker for that.
He's like, you're cute. She's like, I swear to God, if you say fucking plain, I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yeah, I like her character design. I like her.
I know.
Alter ego.
I said it. Cosplay. It's gonna happen.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
I have to make it though, so it's kind of hard. But
it'd be fun if you could do both somehow. Like if it was very easy to.
Well, the other
go back and forth.
The other one's just a uniform, so it'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, I like she doesn't even talk to anyone like in her civilian attire. She's just like, where's the changing room?
Yeah.
Where's my makeup?
I will say, look, I'm not shitting on fan service or anything, but her ass is out. When she's Popstep, her ass is out there.
That is a concern.
She's just wearing a
cosplay.
Yeah.
She's wearing a leotard, right? That's it.
But it's like barely.
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it would be my first time, but I'd have to work around that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
I like the author's notes on that costume, and the guy was like, the author loves this character from this manga, so I was like, well, maybe I won't be so blatant about it. And then the author was immediately like, hey, what if you added like wings that the character has?
Yeah.
And the guy the artist was like, the man knows what he likes.
So yeah, what's their relationship? What's the mangaka of the main series and the mangaka of Vigilantes? What's their relationship?
Oh man.
I think they're friends.
No, I mean obviously even know what I mean. That's not
I
a dumb
don't-
question. to
No,
ask.
it's not,
That's a
but-
great question to ask if we have an answer ready.
Yeah.
Well, I
You were
thought
like
since you were
setting
a
us
fan-
up.
I
You were
thought
like
since you were
setting
a
us up for.
fan of the series that you would know.
I just read stuff, man. I don't
Oh,
know.
if I'm a
Do you
fan
know?
of things, if I'm a fan of things, I indulge.
Do you
and
know
I
though?
go deep. No, because I'm a new fan to this series.
Oh, you're a poser.
So you're a poser. You don't go deep.
Oh, I go
No, you
deep.
do not go deep.
I go super deep, Cody.
You
and
go
know
at
I
the
do.
most pretty shallow.
You know I go deep, dude. I see the
No.
way you walk sometimes.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Koichi and Popstep. I was like, oh, I don't know. I haven't really seen anything. You're like the author.
Yeah, I thought you because there
No.
is stuff about their. I mean, she's a tsundere character, and
Well,
he's
no, I'm just saying because I know like with other series like Naruto and Boruto, there's Masashi Kishimoto didn't like he gave the creator of Boruto the blueprint for that series, and then once I forgot exactly what happened, but he ended up coming on and started to write the series more after Samurai 8 flopped. Like so I just wonder kind of what their relationship is and how much
all I
info
know
he gives him and what he says he can and can't do.
Yeah, they talk about plot elements because there's some stuff that was brought up in Vigilantes before My Hero.
Well, that's what I mean.
Went into it, so
they have to have discussions about that.
Yeah, sure, but yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, fuck me for trying to have an
I'm
interesting
sorry.
insight.
I wish we knew.
But that's the thing. It's not a conversation we can have.
I understand that, but you think I can read your mind and know that that's something you don't know? And
If you cared so much, you should have looked it up.
you
should have.
care
Oh, that's a good question. I'll ask the gang what they think about it.
because it's something that I had just thought of. On top of
It's
you
okay.
love this series,
It's
so
okay.
so fuck me for
It's
assuming that you
okay.
cared enough to look into it.
It's okay, Josh. It's okay. Just don't ask us questions that you think we know.
Yeah, I just won't ask
Sorry,
you guys
sorry,
anything.
we don't know the entirety of this.
It's
series.
not even an entirety
And
thing.
now we look dumb.
And now
Yeah, you know
we've
what?
devoted
You
5
made us-
minutes of
your
this
way
episode.
of responding
You
to
made
it
us
does
look
make you look dumb.
dumb.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Keep talking.
You look
Anyway.
dumber
Anyway.
than that eel guy.
Oh, that guy looked super dumb.
Yeah, that guy was a fucking creep.
Yeah, I did not like. I mean, he was the worst part of Volume 1 to me. I hated him. I hated what he did. I hated the way he looked. I hated his quirk. I hated his enhanced version of his quirk. I thought
Really?
he was just a slimy guy.
Yeah, it was just slimy.
I thought you would have loved him and related to him a lot.
Okay.
I did
Okay,
like
why?
it. I did like it though, because it's like it's the exact representation of like a fan that
Yeah.
goes psycho and is like, oh, I only want. It's like one step. You give them an inch and they take a fucking mile. Oh, handshake. Oh, okay, fine. I'll give you a fucking handshake. I'm an idol. I can do this.
Yeah.
She's like, oh god, and he's like, okay, a hug. Okay, a kiss.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, you fucker. I
Yeah.
gave you a handshake and now you want the whole fucking deal.
Yeah, Megan, as a cosmo, I was really excited to hear your perspective of this character.
You can't, because once you're once you're a little bit nice, like I've had to tell people no, like
Sure,
no,
yeah.
like just no, no.
Yeah.
Can I get a hug? No, like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. It's just like I can take a picture. Sure. Can I take a picture? Okay, here. Okay, here. Okay, can I? No,
Oh, wow.
no.
You've really had people do that?
Yes. Or they don't even ask
Like-
me and they do it.
That's crazy. Have you ever had to tell somebody like delete that?
No. Yeah.
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 That's crazy.
I've had someone follow me around the convention center after I said no to a picture and asked me multiple times for one.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
it's
now
the
imagine if
life.
that guy had eel powers.
Yeah.
Imagine he had the
Not
ability
fun.
to wrap you up in slime.
Not fun.
And we
Yeah.
see
Not
how
and not in the fun way.
Okay, sure. Yes, not in the fun way. In the creepy way.
In the creepy way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
so we
Cody?
see how this drug is being distributed. It's just a guy like, well, he just passes it out to people and is like, if you ever feel like things aren't going your way, just inject yourself with this.
That's
Yeah.
how drugs work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is just so easy to sow chaos in this world because like if someone has the ability to like have slimy skin, that can be upgraded to the point of you turn into a giant eel monster.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that this guy has some ulterior motives. They also make it seem like it's the first guy who it's revealed to potentially be this like businessman guy, which happens pretty early in the series. Like they make it seem like it's him passing this drug out, but it's not him. It's another person that's like a shadowy figure that we don't get reveal.
they make it seem like he's the main guy.
Yeah.
He was just given files and was told to like pass this out to people.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to see how easily you could almost destroy that kind of society by doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy that it plays such a small part in the My Hero Academia.
Which shows like this shows the consequences of like anyone, because everyone has a quirk. Even like the most minor ones can get super amped up to the point of like you could destroy a city block, and it could be just some guy who's like, I got little arms on my shoulders or whatever. Little
arms on my shoulders.
I grabbed at my ribs and then I said
arms on my shoulder.
It sounds like a song.
Here.
Yeah.
Arms on my shoulders.
Yeah.
But it's just like thinking about, like, oh, these are like low level powers. But think about like if Bakugo got a hold of this or Deku got a hold of this and they have like, malintentions, like things could get fucked up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's a really cool, even in volume 1, it's a really cool fucking story. And I can't again, it's important also to mention that it's a prequel, but it's not that far before the events of My Hero Academia. It's only like 6 or 7 years, I think. It's not like 50 years before Deku or whatever. Like, these heroes are in kind of their prime.
Yeah, and we get to see Deku's mom at some point, which you pointed out in
volume 1. Yeah.
And she's already in her
she's already
in her
my
final form.
God.
Which means Deku's like he's like 10 years older or something at this time.
Yeah.
It's not like this is an ancient age, which they could do because they mentioned that like where My Hero takes place, it's sort of like things are picking up again. But they're like when quirks started first popping up, it was a crazy chaotic world, and it's so weird how we just don't even get to see that at all.
That would be cool.
That'd be really cool to see.
Where powers are first showing up, and like everyone is just, and you just see how people can handle that. All you'll get in the main world in the main universe is them going like, yeah, no, it was fucked up.
Well, it's like implemented in society now. Like it wasn't implemented in society. Like it would just be today if people started getting powers. Like it'd
take a while. Yeah,
it would be insane.
They mentioned
the Wild West.
a couple times.
It would be the Wild West. There'd be a lot of death, a lot of crazy shit going on.
Oh yeah,
it would be
the Purge.
It would be the Purge. Yeah, that'd be everyone killing each other, I think.
They mentioned that like we probably would have been in space by now if it weren't for a quirk showing up, because society just regressed by like 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be someone with the quirk that can go up to space.
But also, now if you have a quirk to generate energy, I think that's going to take care of a lot of issues that we couldn't have. I have the quirk to fly. That can probably help us with space.
Well, now you're getting into Fire Punch territory when they use the people with the quirks.
Exactly.
Let's not go back there. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back.
Beautiful series.
Beautiful series. Great series. Good message. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back.
Oh, and Knuckle Duster fights Eraserhead.
Oh, yeah, that was a really cool moment.
He's like, what? This is just an old man with some fucking brass knuckles. He has no quirk. And he's just like...
Yeah, they do a little bit of the heist writing during this moment, but I let it slide. I let it slide a little bit.
I love heist writing.
Yeah. And I don't know if you caught it, but it's the first time Eraserhead is fighting him. He uses his quirk on him, which is erasing people's abilities, and he goes, "Uh-oh, my quirk isn't working on him. His quirk must be ... And then later he says, he must be quirkless. It's like, that's not what you said the first time. What was the end of that first sentence?
Oh, I don't agree that that's heist rating. No, he was like, it's probably a body enhancement quirk.
No, but when he realizes that he has no quirk, he says out loud, your quirk must be ... Because he realizes that he has no quirk, but he says out loud, your quirk must be ... What's the end of that sentence?
No, he thought it, because he can't cancel out someone whose quirk is like, oh, they've got like twice the strength of a normal human.
Right, but
if it's like ingrained in them, he can't cancel that.
No,
so
I get
he
that.
assumed that's what it was at first.
No, at first he did.
And then he realizes you don't have a quirk.
Yeah, but once he realized he didn't have a quirk, he said that. What you're saying is right. He did think that it was a body enhancement quirk, but it did get to a point where he realized he had no quirk at all, and that's how he responded to it. So that's heist writing to me.
I don't agree with that.
I can show you.
Okay, show me.
I can show you. I'll show you off mic, and then you'll have to record your apology to me.
It's like, I'm not even like saying it didn't. I don't agree that that's heist writing.
It's heist writing because, let me just explain myself and then we'll move on. It's heist writing because if that's what he was trying to say, then what is the end of that sentence? That's the writer trying to suspend disbelief is not the right word, but it's to like create mystery. but there's no logical ending to that sentence. His quirk must be he has no quirk. That's heist writing.
Well, that would be quirky in that world.
Oh my God. Agree or disagree? I think it's heist writing. Let me know. Have my back, please. I've been attacked a lot
No one's
this
going to comment
episode.
about that. No one is going to make a comment about heisting.
I'm passionate about it.
Yeah. They do, and then you see the bit of the bureaucracy of superheroes, which is Razorhead goes, "Oh, if you're not using a quirk, then this isn't my job."
Yeah.
And it's like there was still a street brawl happening.
No,
but it's like
not my territory.
My job is superpowers, like fighting. Like call the cops. This isn't my issue. Which I think was him, playing with the rules and letting him go a little. But it was also like, yeah, it is a job. That's not something that they just do all the time. It's like, I'm off duty. This isn't my jurisdiction. Go do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the only thing that we haven't really talked about from Volume 1 yet is there's another character that we're forgetting to mention that does become a bigger character throughout the series. And it's the detective.
Oh, yeah. I love that cat detective.
Me too.
So
Me
cute.
too. And I know that, that detective has a sister that people are pretty fond of.
Sister?
Yeah. Yeah. We don't see her in
cat?
Volume. No. The detective. We don't see her in Volume 1. But
is she a power? Is she a soup?
I don't know. Is she a superhero?
Is she a soup? A fucking bloody soup? All of them are the same. Those fucking soups.
Oh my God. I don't know, Cody. Is she?
Well, you'll have to read Volume 2.
Oh, is she? What's her name?
Yes.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
When she comes in, what's her name?
Oh, yeah. And that's what you get.
Megan punched
Josh in the face.
Yeah.
And it hurt because I have a strong face.
The person saying ow is Josh right now because he's a little baby.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah. She becomes a bigger part of the series, I think, too, right? I don't think that's a spoiler to say.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters that we still haven't met, like main characters yet. There's some characters you're like, they can't possibly become a main character, and you're like, they go through journeys and stuff. It's very satisfying. It's not. I like My Hero, the characters in the beginning at least, but it does become like, here's this guy, all right, they're gone. Here's this guy, that's cool, right? Anyway, they're gone now. This would be a cool thing, right? All right, we'll get rid of that.
They're gone.
We got Deku's got to punch harder. Here's a character who went through a much more relatable, tragic thing. All right, but he has to punch harder now. And but this is like, here's this character, and they're gonna grow as the series goes on.
Yeah, I think there's like two really good reasons to read this series, and it goes either way, right? If you love My Hero, then you'll love Vigilantes because it adds to the world, and from what I've heard, it makes things that happen in My Hero more impactful, emotionally impactful as well, because you get more backstory. And if you don't like My Hero, and if you liked it and you kind of fell off, then I think you'll love Vigilantes, because I think it's what made me fall in love with My Hero in the first place. It reminds me of all the things I really found interesting when I first picked up the series. And so I think whether you like My Hero or not, you can still really love Vigilantes.
And the main characters, their progression, it's much more fun because Deku gets a literal percentage number, and I cannot express how much that irritates me to just have someone go, they have progressed by 5. Yeah, whereas Koichi, like, it's still, he doesn't like be, it is like, okay, all he can do is this. What can you do with that? What are the implications of that? How do we explore this ability on its own? And the Knuckle Duster, he punches people. Pop Step can do this. Like, what can these people do with that? It's not going to be Pop Stomp can jump 5 feet higher now.
Right.
Koichi can go 5% faster now.
Right.
There's a lot of interesting things to do with this.
Right.
And then
I
also,
agree,
the bees.
And the bees.
The bees.
We meet, at least from what I understand, the villain. Maybe they are not the main villain of the series, but they are for sure a villain. And they're super cool, man. I mean, their design and everything about them is super
I love that
cool.
moment when they're like, "Oh, can I take a picture with you, Popstep?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah," and they do like a little pose. I was like, "That's so cute."
And at first,
Popstep.
when we see, what their quirk is, I at first thought like, this person's maybe being taken over, but no, this person is fully aware of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
My liege.
I loved it. I loved the villain. And I can't wait to see more of them either. I'm really excited. To see where the series goes. And as someone, I guess before, because we have a little game that we're gonna get to, and then we're gonna do the Wonder Circle. So why are you holding your stomach like that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
He shook it up.
It's kind of weird.
You guys just make stuff up.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Okay.
As someone who's read the series in its entirety and is caught up as of this recording,
You don't even know how good the story gets.
is that true?
This is
You don't even know.
you have no idea how frustrating it is that I can't talk about any of the stuff that happens with characters and story plots.
How many volumes is it up to right now?
I don't know.
The chapters I know. I think it's 90 something. I can double check while you continue to pitch the series to people and where it's at now without giving anything away.
Well, I was kind of done, but there's a lot of fun things with characters and plot elements there's a lot of stuff that enhances the main series with, like, here's a minor character in the main series, and then Vigilantes gives them way more depth than they ever had before. You get to see man, you guys are still looking it up?
Sorry, it's 11.
11.
Yeah, 90 chapter 97 is the latest chapter, I think. New chapter
311.
coming in 5 days as of recording this.
So, if the series is
I was right. It was like 96.
if the series is going to end soon, mayhaps we could do a volume done on it.
Hey, I mean, I would like to.
Perchance in the future, and then we can talk about all this way more in depth. And then
And we could do cosplay.
I would fucking love that.
We just get All Might hoodies. Honestly, it'd be pretty simple. This
You could
character
do
was
that.
made for the easiest cosplay ever. Who are you?
No,
I'm
you'd be
Koichi.
Knuckle Duster.
I'll be Knuckle Duster. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be a
A
cool
cool
guy.
Thank you. Megan, you've worn eye patches in previous episodes. Maybe you could be the villain.
I don't want to be the villain. I'm Popstep.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I would
really
love to do a volume
cool
done.
moment with Popstep, and I think in volume 2 that it's it sucks that
Can't talk about.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think it goes without saying that we all really enjoy the series, and if you want to see us do a volume done on this series, we all want to do that, but we need to know that that's something that you want to see. And if you do, let us know in the comments down below. Let us know in our Discord. Hop over there, talk to us about it. I know we have people in there, at least I can think of 1 or 2 people in our Discord who do love this series and who do talk about this series. And so if... this is something to bring up again, which is that Koichi's character is so good, it kind of highlights how bad Deku is for me. Because Koichi just wants to help people, and he just does community service, and Deku wants the job and the fame. I know he says, I just want to help people. Right.
But if he didn't get a quirk, his second plan wasn't, I'll become a doctor. I'll do this to help people. It was I guess I just won't help people then.
Yeah.
Because being a hero is a job, and it is a prestigious job where you get to be famous and rich. Deku's I just want to help people. Sure, but you want the one that makes you rich and famous.
Yeah.
They don't really say that, but it's he didn't have any backup plan. He if Koichi didn't have his sliding power, he would just be a guy that's just helps people out and picks up trash and shit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care about having a number put on that.
Yeah, look, and I don't mean to shit on Deku, although this is going to be me shitting on Deku. Yeah, to your point, when Deku didn't have a quirk, he just cried about not having a quirk.
For a long time.
Yeah, and I don't feel
for years.
Yeah, Koichi Koichi might have been down on, and yes, he did have a quirk. It was a shitty quirk, and he might have been down on himself and down on his luck, but he never let that stop him from helping people. So I do agree. It does make Deku a little less interesting.
Well, that's the whole point. He's saying, you don't have to have all these crazy powers. You don't have to have the best quirk in order to help people. You don't have to have a license to help people. It's this whole idea that heroes have to be licensed and have to be famous in order to help people when they're not even really doing that. They're not helping the day-to-day people. They're doing it for money, and they're doing it for the commission, and they're doing it for, I beat this big monster. It's not actually helping people. It's just for the show. So I think that's why these characters are so important, because like Popstep helps people in other ways.
Yeah.
She's like giving them hope, and like
handshakes
the whole paragraph. He's
hugs.
like, like I listen to I'll watch your, read your tweets every day. They really help me, like blah, blah, blah. She helps people in that sense. So like that was crazy too. Like she's not just using her pop to, to fight crime. So it's all coming together.
There's little subtle moments where it's like she likes boosting people's moods. Like she likes just making people happy with her entertainment. And so that's like
I mean, I know what it was, but it was like so subtle that it's like
so I was gonna explain, but now that you know, we can move on. But it's like she's also just not, I want to be famous. She is like, she has a good spirit and heart. She likes like doing like singing and dancing, and she likes meeting people when they get creepy. She's like, okay, maybe just not do that right now, and maybe you can not be a giant eel person. And then Knuckle Duck's like, I'm gonna find this drug and I'm gonna put a stop to it, and that's all and that's that's enough right there. You don't need
the three characters are fucking great. They're so much more interesting. They're so much more fun. The world is great. It's expanded on. It's beautiful. We love it. We want to read more. We're doing Pun next, and that's going to be emotionally exhausting. So a lighter series. I know we've said that we will probably do like Spy X Family as the next volume done, at least where an arc is ended. But I would love to do something like this. This is something that seems like would be light and fun and just nice to read, and to be able to talk about all the interesting stuff that you say. You telling me that you don't even know how good the story gets obviously makes me want to read more of it. But like we said, if you haven't read My Hero Vigilantes, then definitely check it out. Whether you like My Hero or not, you can like it even if you haven't. I think even if you haven't seen My Hero or read My Hero, and even if you have and fallen off, like I said before, or even if you love it and you want more, I mean, there's no excuse to not check this series out. It's so well done, and yeah, I think we all highly recommend it. In our previous episode, we did a little thing where we did a random generator.
Oh yeah.
There's a website called Superpower Wiki, and it's
Wiki
categorize every power.
Yeah,
and you can like they have a random page.
Yeah, so what if we do that again? But what if this time we include people watching and listening? And we encourage them to go to the random
post a
wiki.
Link.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there will be a link in the description, Cody.
There will be a link in the description.
And then just don't cheat.
Yeah.
Don't cheat. First one you get, you fucking get it.
Don't keep clicking random until you get the cool one, because there's every power from the first time I played, I got the power over milk.
Oh.
And so I
forgot about that.
Yeah. You got to be like, what would your name be? What would you do with that power? Because you can be creative. Which there's series shows. You can.
Yeah, exactly.
And comment.
In the spirit of Vigilantes, be creative with that power.
And comment your power on.
Comment
this
your superhero
episode.
name. Comment your power, your superhero name, your villain, and then maybe something interesting you would do with that power. But I think we should give you a little bit of an example, and we should do it again. I think.
Yeah. Can I pull it up?
Can I do it this time?
What do you mean do it? You want to generate?
What do you mean do it?
What do you mean do it, huh? You want to generate the random power? Sure. I mean, I guess. I mean, if you guys are cool with that, then
access
I'm cool with that.
the database.
Yeah. Go ahead. I mean, we're cool with that if you're cool with that.
Okay.
All right. Up first for your superpower ability, Cody.
Okay.
Superhuman empowerment. The ability to absorb other superheroes' powers.
Whoa, that's
Okay.
actually pretty good.
They call it the mooch.
The mooch! Move over, the mooch is here.
Get over the gooch.
Get off my gooch.
Get over the gooch. You're the gooch. That's what we would call you. Guys, you have to be prepared
like it.
for
No,
people making fun of your superhero name.
Megan, I wholeheartedly agree with you. No. Megan,
funny.
Genuinely, I agree that you have to get ahead of it, right?
Yeah.
You have to get ahead of it.
I'm the mooch.
You're the gooch. Yeah.
Why are you so shocked?
Yeah.
You're sad.
Megan, I genuinely love it.
Okay, mooch.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd be the mooch.
Okay.
And I would just find creative and talented people, and I would just sort of like insert myself into the projects that they do.
Wow.
Wow. I know that guy.
I know that guy too.
Yeah, and I would be like, and I'm also strong.
Who's your villain?
I guess my villain would have to be someone who can. Well, I guess they wouldn't have anything, right? Because then I couldn't copy their shit.
Or they're just extremely successful.
Or
you can't take their shine away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber's the mooch's greatest villain.
It'd be a version of like Lex Luthor, who's just like a normal person who has a bunch of stuff. It'd be fighting like an evil Iron Man. I'm like,
Okay.
I have to keep finding people that I can drag along to fight them.
Yeah, because is super intelligence a power, or is it just being smart?
Well, we'd have to discuss, is intelligence a gift or hard work?
Where do you fall on that?
I used to be smart, and then I got bored, and then I stopped studying.
But do you believe it's a gift or something you have to work hard for?
I don't think it's it's
both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love it. I love it. You're the mooch. Your villain is
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber. And creative things that you would do with your powers are inserting yourself into
other people's lives.
I love it. It's really on brand.
Very accurate.
I love it. Okay, I want to go next. Can I go next? I want to go next.
Okay, Joshy, you're up next. Beep, boop, beep, 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 boop, beep, beep, boop, beep, 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 boop, beep.
See which the
Empathic healing. The ability to use your emotions to heal or regenerate your own body.
I feel like that's perfect for me.
Yeah.
Empathic
they're
ability.
sad.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And that works to your advantage.
You're empathetic.
I'm empathetic?
Yeah.
Why are you putting so much emphasis on the pathetic part of the empath?
I was just repeating
what she said.
Yeah. That's what she said.
Okay, look. Obviously, my superhero name would be Crybaby. Is it the Crybaby or Crybaby or Mr. Crybaby or Professor?
Mr. Crybaby is not bad.
Professor Crybaby.
Professor Crybaby. I like it a lot. Yeah. And I also do feel like this really works for me because, as people know, I am a low-level empath, and I do sort of, I do sort of get a vibe, and I do sort of get feelings.
You experience emotions through other people.
You do. Sure, yeah, you don't cry for anything.
I really don't, and that's a true thing. I have to watch other people cry to cry.
It's true.
Yeah, not even when you're watching something that's very dramatic.
No, even like Clannad, like the saddest thing in the world, you didn't.
But
cry.
if I watched you or other people crying to Clannad, that would make me cry.
Oh.
Yeah.
So who would your villain be?
My villain would have to be some sort of sociopath, some sort of narcissist, somebody who doesn't really like feel things.
Sometimes your greatest enemy is yourself. I see.
I don't like what you did there. I don't like.
Your supervillain, Josh Magic Michaels.
Oh,
it's yeah. It's like Nega Josh or something like that. Yeah, that's what you say.
Yeah.
That's what they say in Scott Pilgrim, right?
Do they?
Yeah.
But they didn't come up with that.
Who came up with that?
That's just a general idea.
And first
Reverse Flash, the laziest anti-superhero name.
Okay, yeah, it is lazy, but I wouldn't. That's not who I am. So he'd be the opposite of me. Therefore, reverse Crybaby.
Reverse Uno.
Someone who absorbs emotions.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah. Also, reverse Crybaby sounds like a sexual move. Give him a reverse Crybaby.
It's not a connection I would have made, but all right.
Reverse Crybaby.
Okay, I like that.
Funny.
I'm Professor Crybaby, and my villain is Reverse Crybaby. And
what's the opposite of a professor?
Reverse CB.
Coach.
Those who can't teach Jim.
Yes. Yes, my super villain his name is Jim. His name is Jim. Yeah. And
he's a gym teacher.
Creative ways that I would use my power, right, is I would just tell people about my life, and I would just talk to them. And well, first of all, I'd have to just like get really hurt, like I'd have to maybe because I can only use it to heal, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'd have to like get in a fight and then like lose.
So you could be like on the level of healing of Deadpool and Wolverine as long as you're feeling enough emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I could just think about, my life. I could just think about, people I've been with and who I'm not with, and
who will never be with you,
who will never be with me, and I could just think about everything, and how the world just kind of keeps spinning, and then all of a sudden I heal,
and then you heal your broken arm.
Yeah, but isn't it a contradiction though? Because although I do heal physically, I'll never heal emotionally.
And that is the great tragedy of Professor Crybaby.
Yeah, because the moment I heal emotionally, my powers don't work anymore.
Yeah, you have to be broken.
So I have to constantly be broken to be healed.
So some say the power chose you.
Mm.
I like it. I like it. Professor Crybaby. I also like Reverse Crybaby, but we'll do Coach and Jin.
Yeah, Reverse Crybaby is just a cop-out.
Yeah.
But I like that it's a cop-out.
Okay.
All right, let's see Megan. Megan, give Megan one.
Beep, beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep.
I get a special one.
I get it.
Immortal! The ability to exist in unbirth. You also feed off of human souls.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting. And I do think it's very telling and accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And based in real life, because Megan, you kind of existed in a state of unbirth.
Yeah.
Oh, you kind of did.
I kind of did.
Yeah. And you do.
I was early.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
early, late, same thing, right?
Not the same thing.
Time is happening all at once.
so you're constantly existing in a state of early life.
You're always being born, but not born at the same time.
Yep.
And you eat human souls.
And there's two things, yeah.
It's not wrong.
Yeah. But what would
That
your
is an interesting.
What would your superhero? I mean, you sound like a villain,
So
but what would your? Yeah.
I would be a mortal, a Megan.
Hey.
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 Hey. Yeah, I'd definitely be a villain. I wouldn't be a hero. There's no other way. I would definitely fuck some shit up. I'm stealing human souls. Are you kidding me? I can't be like, I'm gonna help you. Like, no.
Maybe they're bad humans.
You could
yeah.
kill like death row inmates and you could feed off their souls. Okay. Okay, you don't want to.
I'll do that too, but also I'll be a villain.
I think you want to be a villain.
I want to
Yeah.
a villain.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so who would the hero be that fights you?
the hero would be the balancer, and they balance things that are supposed to be dead and alive.
Oh.
And they have like, there's things that unfinished business, like they deal with ghosts and stuff and paranormal things, so they would be in my realm, and they're like, you are in a state of unbirth, you can't live on this world, and I'm like, can't I? And then I steal their soul.
Oh.
You're like,
holy shit.
You're amoral, and you're like, I'm a Megan, and then you zap them or something.
Yeah.
You zap them with what?
Anti-life.
Oh my god.
I just get their souls.
I mean, Megan, I'm reading this comic book.
Hey, I know how to write a narrative. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow. I mean, I think that's fantastic. Is there a creative? So the creative way that you would use your power, I think, is just by becoming a villain. Then.
No, yeah, it'd have to be.
Yeah.
I would definitely just be a villain. I'd be, like a Dementor. Like I would probably look like that. Ghost type figure, Yeah,
you already are kind of a little bit like that. Spectral, I would say. Yeah.
They're gonna
roast you?
call me a ghost.
It's like your existence in the afterlife is like premature. Almost some sort of.
Ha ha ha! Get it out now.
Get it out now.
Premature preen. Haven't heard that one before.
That's really good.
That's really good. Anyway, let us know. There is a link in the description of this video with a that takes you to the wiki where you can do the random superpower generator. Let us know what your random superpower is, and if you'd use it for good or evil, what your superhero or villain name would be, what your supervillain or superhero would be, and what creative ways you would use your power. And don't cheat, and make it fun.
Thank you, Volume
work with what you
1
got. Yeah, thank you so much.
That was
Volume 1
fun.
Chan. That was very fun. Now it's time to get to our winner circle before we get out of here, which is just the part of the episode where we read comments that people have posted on our previous videos. If you want us to read one of your comments, make sure to comment on this video or any of our previous videos, and we will possibly, probably, maybe, but most likely do that. Do you guys want to go first? I can go first this time.
You can go first.
Since I feel like I never go first.
You never go first.
Yeah, I never go first. I have it pulled up though. What I did learn, by the way, is not to screenshot it, because if I have to expand it, it won't
and then
work.
you forget that you screenshot it and it's not the actual thing.
Here is a comment from one of our faves, back again. Missed you while you were gone, Noro Becky. Shout out Noro Becky. Love the podcast, and here's a manga recommendation: The Witch and the Beast by Kosuke Satake. It's amazing! ! Smiley face. Never heard of this series, but did before we started recording. I looked into it a little bit, looked it up. It looks very interesting. The cover of the first manga looks very noir. I don't know if that plays into the series at all because the covers do look a little bit different.
Yeah, it looks something that I'd be really interested.
It looks really
it captivates me.
It does captivate me too. I don't get a sense for what the story is at all,
which is great.
Yeah,
which I love.
I love the design of these two characters. Oh, you have to use the bathroom.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Thank God.
It's not like we're in the winter circle or anything.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yikes. Don't miss the bowl.
Don't miss the bowl. But I would love to check out this series. You've never heard of it?
No.
Yeah.
And it sounds so interesting. It reminds me of like the Ancient Magus Bride, like that title. The title just doesn't give you much, and then it's the magic element. I feel like it has something to do with, and it looks very royal and regal.
It looks very regal. And
it looks very cool. Yeah. I'm hoping for a beast. You know me.
Okay, don't miss the ball. Well, yeah, and look, it's so hard to pick a new series to read because obviously
so many.
There's so many to choose from, and it has to be something that I think that looks like a series that we'll all enjoy, and that looks like something that other people would be interested in hearing about. So if anybody watching is aware of that series, let us know. I mean, if we just get like 3 comments about the same series, we'll probably end up reading it.
Because we're always looking for new stuff to read
always.
So.
And that either way, I mean, that is for sure on the list. And if it doesn't make it into an episode, I'm gonna read it in my spare time. Megan, you want to go ahead and read your comment?
Do you miss the bowl?
Yikes.
Okay. This one comes from Joshua Henley Thornhill.
Ooh.
3 days ago. OMG, it's one of my favorite ongoing series, and I'm so happy that you like it. This is on our Tokyo Revengers episode. It's a manga from a genre called Furyo, aka delinquent fighting manga. I didn't know there was a genre for just fighting delinquent manga. I guess it makes sense. There's probably a lot of them. And they're always freaking gritty and violent. I hope you guys do a part 2 of this manga where Megan beats the fuck up out of Cody and Josh because she's the Mickey of the podcast. Emoji with the smoke coming out of the nose. And I just think that's really accurate.
That's the second comment you've read about someone like complimenting your fighting.
They know, okay? Yeah. They know that I'm the ultimate Chad. That was also a comment.
Ultimate cannibal Chad.
Okay, cut out the cannibal
You're
part.
a CC. Mm-hmm. Cannibal
I'm
Chad.
a Chad. And I'm the Megan. A Megan.
Oh, you got there. Yeah, you're a cannibal, soul-sucking Chad.
Yeah. That's your series.
Watch out. She's gonna get ya.
Gonna get sucked out.
Maybe work on your catchphrase.
Yeah, workshop it.
Your soul is mine.
I'm gonna suck your soul out. Yeah. Workshop it a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe take suck out of it completely.
No, but that's the appeal.
Okay.
Yeah, like if I go up to people and I'm like, I'm gonna suck your soul out of your body, people are gonna think I'm gonna do something,
Suck your soul out. There's no other implications.
Right.
Cody, you want to go?
Yeah.
This is by Chainsaw Ray. Love the episode. A great volume done. Presh, you have become part of my weekly routine, and after the JJK episode, I caught up on the manga, and I still agree with you guys, and my biggest problem with the series is the beginning. I know everyone says this, and I think I started to like the story. I like chapter 60, and I started to love it by 100 because it shows the power system keeps growing, and it takes a while to fit, but complete the... And I understand I didn't like it for the series for a while as well. I think chapter 60 is crazy to commit to something before... you give things way more of a shot than I ever will. I hear that about jiu-jitsu all the time, that it gets better.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
well, maybe we just have to, honestly, I would rather read it. I would rather watch it than read it.
I'll watch it.
Oh, yeah. I'll watch it. No, but that's what I'm saying. If we all just sat down and because we've gotten so many comments about Jujutsu Kaisen, just like give it another chance, it gets so much better. Yeah. Like my friends have told me the same thing. It's just, just the commitment to, okay, I'm gonna put time towards Jujutsu Kaisen versus something else I'm watching in the season or something else that I'm reading. It's just kind of like, oh, like once you start something and drop it, I just feel like it's so much harder to pick it back up unless you just keep going through it, especially because the dub is not, like I started with the dub and like, of course I can go to the sub, but it's like once you start that foundation of those characters, you can't unhear it, and that's 100%. The hardest part for me.
And look, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit in our Faraway Paladin review, and it's just that for you guys, you said that it was a series that you couldn't get interested in because it didn't give you what it needed to give you right away.
But it did. That's the part that we're just so it gave us all of that, but it just
But my point is, I think Cody specifically, you said something like you've read series that do it in you said specifically 3 pages, 3 panels, 3 chapters. Like you've been hooked right away.
Yeah, and that's what I'm like. It's not hard to get me to care about a character. Yeah. So like, if a series doesn't do that in an entire volume, I think that's a huge negative. When there's plenty of series that get me to care within 3 pages, so it's not like I don't have a high meter for doing that. You show me Koichi doing like some community service, I'm already rooting for him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like they're just building up to the like tournament arc type thing where they're fighting against the classes, which it does sound interesting because we haven't really even seen the other upperclassmen like use their skills very much. Like we have and we haven't. Like I'd love to see Panda fight. I'd love to see the word guy fight more. Like it's all like these characters, the side characters are like more in the upperclassmen than I do necessarily like
My Hero.
Like My Hero. So it just that kind of irks me when you care more about other characters and you do the main character because it just doesn't make any sense. Like why would that be the case?
Just make the more interesting one the main character.
I mean, if it was only that easy,
I mean, if the writer
was only that easy.
I mean, for the writer to be like,
Mooch. Good call, Mooch.
Hey, look, there's nothing I can do. Yeah. The main character is what they are. Yeah. I'm like, why don't you take all these interesting things from the side characters and put them in the main? Like the idea that like that's like out of control. Like it's out of my hands as the author to make the main character as interesting as I've made these side characters.
I mean, people do make the argument that a lot of times it's because they're trying to make the main character a placeholder or I forget the exact term for it, but
like
as a way for the reader to like
put
insert
themselves
into the story. Yeah,
I never
which I don't like.
agree with that.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with it either. But
I think that's like whenever someone's like, "Oh, I wanted to leave it to the reader's interpretation." Oh, you mean you couldn't decide on an answer? I don't like that at all. Even like in games where it's like, "Oh, the main character never talks," so you can like view yourself like. I'm not Master Chief. I know that. Like the idea of like what? I want you to be able to self-insert.
You are.
I'm not Master Chief.
No, you are.
No, you're Noble 6.
Oh, okay. Don't scare me.
Like I don't feel like I know I'm like I want to see this from a character's perspective. I don't want to like write your like the narration and story.
Yeah, I mean, some people want escapism, and some people, I guess, there's a market for people who want to be inserted into these fantasy worlds. But
that's a lot. That's a lot of that. That is the main problem I have with isekai in general, because it's just this guy who you can easily just put your fucking face on and go with. And
I mean, I think when it's done right, again, and we can
love
get back
isekai,
we can get back into this conversation, but I just think when it's done right, it's amazing. Like, I think Subaru's done really well. I think William from the Faraway Paladin has done really well. But we don't have to rehash this conversation.
We don't.
We
don't always agree, you guys. You'll see.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
But you'll see that we can come together and have some conversations with some pals and some
in our Oneer
circle, and we're done now. And until next time,
well, shout out Chainsaw Ray, right?
Yeah,
and shout out Nora Becky, and shout out Joshua Thornhill. Yeah, and thank you guys for commenting.
We don't have to shout them out after we said their names and we read.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I fucking care. I'm sorry for fucking caring.
Just repeat it.
I'm sorry for care. Hey, Joshua Thornhill, Nora Becky, Chainsaw Ray. I'm sorry that I care about you.
Well, now we know you didn't care about any of the other people's comments you read.
Oh, I do.
Not
you
true.
didn't restate their names in those episodes.
Because I'm saving their comments for future episodes. Yeah, 100%. I'll read all of them. I'll just make a 20-minute video where I read all of them. But anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Before we go, we have to shout out our Patreon members. Thank you guys so much. We fucking love you. And I can list every single one of you guys by name too, but I'm not going to do that because it will take a lot of time. It won't take that much time, but still, well, that's not interesting to listen to. But we do love you and we do appreciate you. And if you want to be a Patreon member, you can get early access to episodes and a couple of other perks, including some maybe some discounts on merch that we might be doing soon. Spoiler alert. But you can do that by going to patreon.com/volume1pod. All that's left now to do is to get out of here on our outro that's always the same and never changes, which today we had a good one last time. We had a really bad one and then we had a really good one.
Really?
Yeah. And then the last episode we had a really good one, so let's have a really good one again.
Show us your tongue.
I think that was
you know what, Cody?
The same one.
I do like it. I do like it. Yeah. Tongues out, guns out.
Honestly, there we go.
Tongues
and that's
out.
called set 'em up, knock 'em down.
Set 'em up, knock 'em down.
Drugs out, tongues out.
And that is how you finish a phrase. And let's go.
Drugs out, tongues out?
Yeah. They're drugs.
Okay. Drugs out, tongues out. They
All
take
right.
the drug and show them the tongue.
All right.
That is the embodiment of the work of Volume 1 right there, of all of our dynamics. And
All right.
hit him, Josh.
All right, I'll hit him, Cody. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. And until next time, drugs out, tongues out.